Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aisyah AQILAH binti KAMARUL ADLI and my matric number 1210834 and I am from KMB2. Okay, for today I will explain the answer for P8.41 question. Okay, this is the question for P8.141. Okay, let me see the question once. Okay, firstly, the question one is to determine the company predetermined overhead rate using the direct labor cost as the single cost driver. Before that, we need to using the WTCC current traditional product costing system. Okay. Okay, so to calculate the predetermined overhead rate, we need to use this formula. Cost of manufacturing over the activity driver. The activity driver that we will use is the direct labor cost. This is mentioned in the question, so it will be our activity driver. So we see the question that it's mentioned the manufacturing overhead is 3 million and the budgeted direct labor cost is $600,000. So to calculate it, we just divide the cost of manufacturing over the activity driver over the direct labor cost. So we get the answer is $5. Okay. Next, the question wants us to determine the full product cost and selling price of 1 kilogram of Konas coffee and 1 kilogram of Malaysian coffee. Okay. First, we see the first table that mentioned about the direct material cost and the direct labor cost for Konas coffee and Malaysian coffee. So we just substitute the amount into the table. Just put it in this table. And for the manufacturing cost, it also concerns the manufacturing overhead, right? So to calculate this, we need to use the predetermined overhead rate that we just calculate just now and times it with the direct labor cost, because before this we used the direct labor cost to calculate predetermined overhead rate. So for this manufacturing overhead also we need to times with it. We need to times it and we get the manufacturing overhead for the Konas coffees is $1.5 and also Malaysian coffee consume $1.5 of manufacturing overhead. And the total of manufacturing cost for Konas coffee and Malaysian coffee is $5 and $6. And for the selling price, to note the selling price, it's mentioned at the question that it's marked up 30% from the cost. So from the manufacturing cost that we just know just now, we add the 30% from it. So we get for the Konas coffee, we need to mark up $1.5 and for Malaysian coffee, we need to mark up $1.8. So the total selling price is $6.5 for Konas coffee and $7.8 for Malaysian coffee. That is the total selling price for Konas coffees, 1 kilogram of Konas coffee and 1 kilogram of Malaysian coffees. So next, develop a new product cost using the activity-based costing approach for 1 kilogram of Konas coffee and 1 kilogram of Malaysian coffee. Okay, first of all, we need to know the cost activity driver per unit. Okay, how we get this activity is mentioned from the question. Okay, this is the table that mentioned about the activity driver, quantity of activity driver, and also the budgeted cost. Okay, to know the cost activity driver per unit, so we need to divide the budgeted cost with the quantity of activity driver to know cost for each activity driver. So, for example, 579,000 divided with 1,158 for purchasing. And we get the cost activity driver per unit for purchasing is $500. Okay. And the calculation for material handling, quality control, roasting, blending, packaging is the same calculation. Budgeted cost over the quantity activity driver. And we get the total, the cost activity driver per unit for each activity is $400, $200 for quality control, $10 for roasting, $10 also for blending and packaging. Next, to calculate the 1 kilogram of Konas coffee and 1 kilogram of Malaysian coffee cost. Okay, so the direct labor and the direct material, we just take from the in this information. $3.2 for corners, $4.2 for Malaysian for the direct labor, direct material, and the direct labor 30 cents for corners and Malaysian coffee. So we just put the amount in the table. Okay, for the activity cost, there is some calculation that we need to calculate. Okay, so for example, before we calculate this, we need to know how many times the purchasing around, how many times they buy. So for calculate this, we need to this information we get from this table, from the question table. The budgeted sales for corners is 2,000 kilogram, and for budgeted sales for Malaysian coffee is 100,000 kilogram. Okay, to know how many times they purchase is we see the purchase order size. Every time the purchase order size is only 500 kilogram for the corners coffee and 25,000 kilogram for Malaysian coffee. So we just divided the budgeted sales with the purchase order size, and we will know how many times they are purchased. So we get 4 times. Okay, when we know the 4 times they purchase, we need 2 times with the cost of the purchasing. Okay, so the 4 times with the $500. Okay, after we times with, we need to divide it with the budgeted sales because we want to know the question asks us to calculate for 1 kilogram, just for 1 kilogram. So we need to divide it for the corner, divide with 2,000 kilogram. For the Malaysian coffee, divide with 100,000 kilogram. And this is the calculation and the cost. Okay, we get $1 cost for $1 cost of purchasing for corner coffee and 2 cents for purchasing Malaysian coffee. And then the cost for material handling and quality control is same, goes to the purchasing calculation. 4 times, it also use the purchasing rounding. Times with the cost. For the material handling, we need to time with the $400. And for the quality control, we need to times with $200 and divide it with 2,000 kilogram for corners and 100,000 kilogram for Malaysian. And we get this answer. 2.4 ringgit dollars for corners for material handling, and material handling cost for Malaysian coffee is 12 cents. For the quality control, 40 cents for corners coffee and 2 cents for Malaysian coffee. Okay, for the roasting, blending, and packaging, they have a different calculation because in this question, they stated that this is the time consumed for 100 kilogram. So we need to find how much time they consume to produce 2,000 kilogram and for corner and 100,000 kilogram for Malaysian. Okay, so for the roasting, this is the equation. Okay, so we know that for to produce 2,000 kilogram of corner coffee, we need to consume 20 hours of roasting time. And for the blending time, we need to consume 10 hours. And for the packaging, we need to consume 2 hours for produce corner coffee. And for the Malaysian coffee, it consume 1,000 hours for 100,000 kilogram, and then 500 hours for Malaysian, and also consume 1,000 hours for packaging time. Okay. And after we know the time consumed, we need to times with the cost activity driver per unit. Okay, for the roasting, blending, and packaging, all of this consume $10. Okay, so time is, and after we get the answer, we divide the budget with the budgeted sales to know the cost of 1 kilogram. So we get like this. Okay. Sorry, for the packaging, Malaysian coffee consume 100 hours. Okay, so we just add all of these costs to know the manufacturing cost for each coffee. Okay, so for the corners coffee, the manufacturing cost is $7.46, and for the Malaysian coffee, it's consumed $4.82. This is using the activity-based costing. Okay, next, this is the third question. Compare the cost of the product calculated in requirement 1 and 2. Provide an explanation as to why the product costs using the traditional cost system are different from those using ABC system. Okay, this is the cost that we get from the calculation above. Okay, for the corners, the traditional cost is $6.5, Malaysian $7.8, For the activity-based manufacturing product cost, Cornas consume $7.46 and Malaysian coffee consume $4.82. Okay, the differences we can see is 12.87% understated for the Corna and 61.83% overstated for the Malaysian coffee. Okay, why the cost is different? Because the traditional costing using predetermined overhead rate, while the ABC not using the predetermined overhead rate, and the ABC costing treat overhead at a single pool of indirect cost. This is why the calculation for Corna coffee and Malaysian coffee is different using the traditional product cost and activity-based manufacturing product cost. Okay. The last question is make a recommendation for the pricing of the two products based on your analysis. Okay, from the analysis that we use, from the above calculation, I prefer to use the activity-based costing system than traditional costing as it more accurate, and activity-based costing also offer this three advantage: more detailed assignment of manufacturing overhead cost to product, the inclusion of non-manufacturing product related costs, and more detailed identification and analysis of activities across the business, which can provide framework for activity management. Okay, so that's all the question and the answer. Okay, thank you for hearing.